everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Sandy Laborde, and you are now watching Americana. Okay, sometimes we talk about the most difficult subjects, but it's important. We got to get it out there. Like today's subject, we're going to be talking about Black orphanages and how the compounding effect of these orphanages have created the institutionalization of children. If you take a look at rich countries right now, orphanages are almost non-existent. I bet you could not even tell me where you could find an orphanage in your country or your city right now. But the reason why you don't see them that much in rich countries is because we've dealt with the underlying issues. And that's war, disease, famine, natural disasters, poor governance. I mean, because we've dealt with it in our country, we don't have as many orphanages anymore. But the truth is 153 million orphans exist in the world. And 132 million orphans alone are from developing countries. The reason why developing countries have so many orphanages is because it's become a part of the norm. It's like a business structure. And because they constantly receive foreign funding to keep these institutions open, it's incentivized. It's basically like a perpetuating system that takes children away from their families. And if these families had the means to take care of their kids, there's no reason why they would ever give them up to orphanages in the first place. What's an orphan? An orphan is a child under the age of 18 who's lost both their parents, and usually they don't have any family members to care for them. As a result, we've decided in society that maybe volunteerism works. But the truth is that volunteerism does not work. It actually creates an attachment issue with the children. Imagine every single day you're seeing a different group of people who come to help you, show you affection, but at the end of the day or the end of the week, they always leave. That is not healthy for a child. Also, for the person that's visiting to go and take care of children randomly in other countries, research has shown, or they call it, the white Jesus complex. And that's where some people need to feel good by themselves or validate themselves by going to foreign countries to help children, when in fact their country is filled with children who need help. To be honest, we just need to support the infrastructure in those communities or countries, create safety social nets to provide support instead of bombarding them with volunteerism. Another thing that's not healthy for children when it comes to orphanages is the fact that, like I mentioned, there is a business structure, and that allows for there to be so much abuse. Internationally, on average, donors give up to $200,000 to orphanages every single year, and sometimes they don't even visit these orphanages after they give the money. Well, I'd like to tell you about a story where an orphanage burned down and killed 15 children in Haiti. This orphanage, by the way, when people did research, it was no longer on the books, meaning no one was making sure they were doing things the right way, that the building was up to code or that they were following policies. It was basically a building forgotten about. And these children ended up losing their lives. To this day, some of the names of the children we still don't know. Another thing that I believe is really important in the world of Black orphanages is for us to talk about staged adoptions. And the reason why I'm so passionate about this, you guys, is because I myself am guilty of this. The person sitting in that photo in front of you is me. I used to organize tours, and I used to take people to go and visit people or children in orphanages because I thought that was what was going to assist them. However, when visiting one group of orphans, at the end of our activities for the day, a child pulled me aside and he asked me if I would help his mom, if I would give him money so that he could support his mom. And I was so confused because I'm like, okay, you're an orphan. What do you mean your mom? And he then pointed to the mountains and he says, my mom lives up there, but she doesn't have enough food to take care of me. So she sends me to this orphanage every single day. From that moment on, I changed my thought process. Me going to orphanages with clothes and a few bags of food, that's not what the family needs. Every mother wants to be able to take care of her child. Every father wants his child in the home with him. So what I'm saying is that if you really want to help those families, help the parents, support the household, and don't just give dollars to orphanages you've never been to, you've never seen, and that you will probably never visit. Up next, we have a guest who has dedicated a few years of her life to a movement such as this. She's going to share with you why she changed her mind about Black orphanages and how you can be more helpful in this space. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. Get free tips to help boost your retirement savings now at aceyourretirement.org.
Every day,
millions of people are connecting.
And even though we're overcoming obstacles,
watching each other's backs,
and banding together,
we should still make an effort.
We should still make an effort
to get to know each other
on a deeper level.
Father,
cosplayer,
mentor,
actor.
It's time we take a step forward.
It's time we take a step forward.
Come together
and discover
how accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
Part-time job, full-time hustle, all-time Shiro to all of us. You nurture, we listen. You teach, we thrive. You lift our spirits, but we've got to lay down the truth. It's time for you, our Shiro, to stretch for the stars. A free online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Start saving more for retirement so you can feel prepared and live your life to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Welcome back, everyone, to the guest segment of the show. Now, I might have been a little hard on you in the beginning, but it's going to get a little softer now with our beautiful guest, Mrs. Morgan Wienberg. She founded the organization Little Footprints, Big Steps, and works with locals to reunite neglected children, as well as others in the orphanages, with their families and advocate for their well-being. She coordinates Little Feet, Big Steps activities and building up a dedicated team of Haitian staff, as well as a powerful partnership with local child protection authorities. Morgan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure. I've followed you on social media for a while. You guys, you can find her at Little Footprints, Big Steps online on all the social media platforms, and it was truly you. I started to have different feelings about the adoption process and orphanages in Haiti. I started to have different feelings, but once I saw your content, you kind of validated what I was feeling. So what would you say? How is the work that you're doing basically changing communities on the ground?
I would say the biggest impact Little Footprints, Big Steps has had in the communities we work with in Haiti is a change of mentality, where among parents in the communities, we're seeing that they better understand the dangers of orphanages or the dangers of sending their children somewhere else. The children that we work with themselves, you know, one of them said to me recently that his past isn't his identity, which I think is so powerful. Wow. Helping them understand that they can have a different role in society and how much they're valued by society.
Speaking of society, Morgan, what do you believe people need to understand about developing countries? I mean, about orphanages in developing countries?
I think the number one thing that people are surprised to find out is that over 80% of children in orphanages are not true orphans. So they have living families, and these families love them. Most often, they're just too poor to care for them. And quite often, children in orphanages, again, parents send them to the orphanages because they think that's where they'll get support. And quite often, those orphanages are actually run as for-profit businesses, exploiting the children to get donations in order for the orphanage owner to make a profit.
And what's the lasting effect on the families? Like overall, what damage does this cause?
I mean, even if an orphanage is well run, that child is disconnected from his or her family and community. They're not taught to become independent and functioning on their own in society. And I've also seen children in orphanages actually die of neglect or be trafficked. And I've met parents who become suicidal because they thought they would give up their child to an orphanage just, you know, so that child could go to school or be well fed, and they end up never seeing their child again.
I mean, it's so heartbreaking. And I have to say, I said in the beginning of the show that I myself was guilty because I used to create tour groups to go to these orphanages and voluntourism. But one day a child pulled me aside and asked me if I could give him money to give to his mom. And I was shocked because I'm like, you're at an orphanage. What do you mean your mom? So for those who have good intentions and they just want to help, how should they help?
Yeah, and it's so common. I mean, the majority of people supporting orphanages think they're helping the most vulnerable children in the country. But the reality is, first of all, there's a big disconnect between aid organizations and the local authorities. At least this is what I've seen in Haiti. And so one positive thing that people who want to help can do is approach the local authorities, know what the laws are, know which orphanages are actually registered with the government. In Haiti, there's over 750 orphanages, but only 35 of those are approved by the local social services. But really, the best thing that people can do is support families, empower families. If children are being sent to orphanages because their parents can't care for them, the solution shouldn't be separating them from their families. The solution should be empowering those parents so that they have the means to care for their children.
Exactly. You know, so doing the work that you do, though, Morgan, I mean, you weren't born in, were you born in Haiti?
No, I am Canadian, and I moved to Haiti at the age of 19.
Okay, so doing the work that you do, especially having a Canadian background, I'm sure you've run into some challenges. What are a few of the challenges that, you know, have presented themselves along the way?
Absolutely. I think the biggest challenge is this misperception about orphanages, both in Haiti and internationally, where parents think that they're doing a positive thing for their child by sending the child away to get support. And where foreigners or, you know, even well-intentioned people, like you said, donating or volunteering, they think they're helping children by supporting orphanages. Whereas I've seen orphanages that the local authorities are trying to close because of neglect and abuse. You know, sometimes there's sexual abuse inside these orphanages. And meanwhile, well-intentioned NGOs and volunteers are supporting the same orphanage that the government is trying to close. And what happens in reality is that the funds continue going to the orphanage, so the orphanage owner has more power than the government. And I've seen, you know, orphanages that the government is trying to close, where the orphanage owner, because he has a good support base, ignores the government or even goes a step further and threatens social services agents.
Morgan, speaking of the government, are there any policies recently or policies that you were involved in that passed to help with this fight, this current struggle?
That's an exciting question because there has been a lot of progress. And in 2017, the government did an evaluation of all the orphanages in the country. This is where out of 750 orphanages, only 32 met the minimum standards. So as a result, in October 2018, the Haitian government officially made it illegal to open new orphanages in Haiti. And they requested that anyone wanting to support children in the country would contribute at least 80% of funds to community development or supporting families, and no more than 20% to children in orphanages or children's homes.
That's absolutely huge. And I commend the government and, you know, all the individuals involved for coming together and helping to make something like that pass. Very quickly, Morgan, where can people find you if they want to support your work?
On Facebook, we're Little Footprints, Big Steps. Instagram, LFBS Haiti. Our website is www.littlefootprintsbigsteps.com.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Morgan. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, you guys. So hopefully you took a lot from the interview that I just had with Morgan Wienberg. Every single day, I'm still learning myself. You know, we could have been doing it the wrong way in the past, but this is an opportunity for us to correct ourselves because as we stated earlier, over 153 million children are orphans in the world. And if we do this correctly, we can change or lessen that amount. Don't go anywhere. We have more right next or right up next.
My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. Get free tips to help boost your retirement savings now at aceyourretirement.org.
Every day.
Millions of people are connecting
And even though we're overcoming obstacles,
watching each other's backs,
and banding together.
we should still make an effort.
We should still make an effort.
to get to know each other,
on a deeper level.
Father,
cosplayer,
Mentor.
actor.
it's time we take a step forward
It's time we take a step forward.
Come together.
and discover
How accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
Brandon met a girl on a dating app. He finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving.
She must be a keeper.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the show. It is time for Americana Stories, and it's where you get an opportunity to feature your stories here on set by using the hashtag Americana Allies. All right, so I've been dumping on Black orphanages for a while, but we already know that's not the only race or ethnic group that has had trouble when it comes to adoption and orphanages. For instance, let's talk about the Vietnam War. A lot of babies were left behind in Vietnam. Now that sentence makes no sense, but just as many soldiers as we were sending to Vietnam, they were leaving behind or impregnating Vietnamese women and leaving behind tens of thousands of babies. Here's what it looks like. Let's take a look at the video. I mean, that is absolutely crazy. So many children were left behind. And you have to remember, it was a time of despair. So these moms couldn't take care of the kids. The United States had to step up and say, you know what? We're going to allow these babies to come. And that's what caused the Amerasian Act. And as a result, over 23,000 Asian children were allowed to come to the United States. Doesn't mean they were paired with their fathers. They came here and they were adopted by other American families. So absolutely crazy. Next up, I'm going to talk about two Dominican sisters who were adopted when they were babies. But eventually here in the United States, they ended up finding each other. Such a random story, but let's take a look at the video.
Put your back in it. Put your back in it. Put your back in it. Just a little more. Put your back in it. Put your back in it. Put your back in it.
So that video ended up going viral on TikTok. Over 5 million views because they ended up working at the same place and they had no idea they were sisters. They ended up doing a DNA test and it revealed that they were sisters who were adopted, ended up with separate families, but found each other again. So definitely crazy story. Okay, next up, we're going to get into Angelina Jolie. And yes, I know she is an American favorite, but I can't talk about orphanages and adoption without talking about her. I mean, Angelina Jolie and Brad are known for adopting a whole tribe of children. It's like they went to every continent and picked up a child. And although some families looked at this international adoption as being so cute and we should be so grateful to them, a lot of them felt like it wasn't really an honorable experience because you're detaching kids from their roots. You know what I mean? You're going to grow or raise them in California, Beverly Hills. They're not going to really know who they are or where they came from. So, and I think Madonna did the same thing. I think a few other, it was like a whole phase of people just randomly adopting babies from different countries. I'm on the fence about it. I mean, the kids have grown up today and they look like great individuals and she gave them another shot at life. But at the same time, a lot of people feel like there are kids here in the United States that need support. Lastly, I want to talk about Voix d'Espoir, and it's basically an organization out of Haiti created by Michelle Joseph. When he was a child, his mom couldn't afford to take care of him. So she almost gave him up for adoption to an orphanage. And if she would have done that, he would have lost his family forever. So he didn't end up going, but he dedicated his life to basically having parents reconnect with their children. Let's take a look at the video.
Il reste un peu d'espoir de revoir votre enfant qui a été adopté depuis 20 ans, peut-être plus, peut-être moins.
Je vivais dans l'espoir et je vis toujours dans l'espoir de pouvoir retrouver les membres de ma famille.
Li pas celle ti moun qui voulait ouais famille, yo en pile cap chercher sang.
J'ai toujours voulu savoir d'où je venais, voir la ville dans laquelle je suis née, pouvoir aider mon pays.
Sang de son.
So I know that was in French, and we're just basically testing your French skills. But Michel dedicates his time to reconnecting children who have been lost for decades. So in the 70s, the 80s, these parents gave up their children just because they needed food, they needed education, but they didn't know that the orphanage would work with a judge to send the kids off to permanently be adopted in other countries. So today, these parents come to him, and he works as hard as he can to reconnect them from all over the world. If this is something that you believe in, please reach out to him and his organization to help those families reconnect. All right, you guys, that's all we have for Americana Stories, but don't go anywhere because we have more coming up.
My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. Get free tips to help boost your retirement savings now at aceyourretirement.org.
Brandon met a girl on a dating app. He finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving.
She must be a keeper.
All right, we are back, and it is now time for Black Brilliance, where we feature someone phenomenal doing great work in the community. Today's guest is Ken Scott. He was born in Miami, raised in Flint, Michigan, but currently resides in Orlando, Florida. He is an indie artist known as K. Scott with a single available on all music platforms called Drowning. And he's also currently the producer for the show, daytime talk show, Point of View on Afro TV. His motto is, be you, do you, and they will adjust. You can find him on social media at Music Genius with a Q. Hey, Ken, how are you?
Hey, Sandy, I'm all right, and you?
I am good. I am so excited to have you in that seat because I know you're going to kill this. You're going to do phenomenal.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm ready.
You're
Let's have it. Let's make it happen.
Let's do this. All right. So first question, what were the two sides that fought in the American Civil War?
Two sides. Should I do like somebody else that I know?
Oh, Lord, don't cheat, don't Google. Listen, so there were two sides.
Two sides.
I'll give you a hint. There was the North, there was the South. What were they called?
The North and the South. No.
They were called the North and the South. Okay, I'm going to give you this one because I want to make sure you have enough time for the other one. So it was called, the North was called the Union and the South was called the Confederate.
Oh, them people. Okay.
Them people, yes. Next question. Which city is widely known as the birthplace of hip hop?
New York City?
New York, but what city in New York?
Brooklyn.
Okay. Close, the Bronx.
Well, or the Bronx.
Or the Bronx.
Okay.
But a lot comes out of Brooklyn
down.
as well. Next up, who said, if not us, then who? If not now, then when? It was like a huge Black leader, pioneer.
Obama?
If not us, then who? If not now, then when? I'll give you one clue. He's no longer among the living. He's not with us right now. He's with us in spirit. But
he's with us in spirit. That's several people, so it could either, someone I probably say would be John Lewis.
Yes, you got it. So John Lewis is the one who said it, House of Representatives civil rights leader. We miss him so much. Next question, what does it mean when your left palm itches?
When your left palm itches means that you're about to pay out some money. You're losing some money.
There you go. You know that one. You're about to lose some money when your left palm is itching. Yeah. One more for you, Ken. Why should you never put your purse on the ground?
Because then you'll forever stay broke.
Yes, and I know you know this one because you tell other people in the building, get your purse off the ground.
I really do. That annoys me.
I know, you're always telling us. So, Ken, thank you so much. That's all the questions. And again, you guys, if you want to learn more and discover Ken's music, especially his new single, Drowning, you can find it on all platforms. And what is your social media name, Ken?
Music Genius with a Q.
That's right. Thank you so much for joining us, Ken.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure.
You're welcome. All right, you guys, in celebration of Black awareness, Black consciousness, Black progress, and Black brilliance, I'd like to share a quote from my book of the week. And the book of the week is Eloquent Rage by Brittany Cooper. Absolutely phenomenal book. She's a Black woman who decided to go and study in China. And while she was there, people used to always be like, you angry Black woman, you angry Black woman. And she felt like it's a stereotype that basically needed to be broken. And that's why she created the book, Eloquent Rage. One of the statements that I love from the book is, we know what it means to snatch dignity from the jaws of power and come out standing. And being that International Women's Day just happened, I feel like that statement is so appropriate. So that's all I have for you today on Black Brilliance. We had our beautiful guest, Kay Scott. And as always, you can catch us again tomorrow, same time. My name is Sandy Laborde. Thank you so much for joining us on Americana.